I think that probably the main conclusion that I drove from those 2 days is that we have got to be much more modest and much more humble in our research, and to use many more question marks, many more words of could be, maybe, probably, likely. Here is the meeting between Golda Meir and Richard Nixon, December 2nd, 1971. And this is a kind of summary of this meeting. It says so: Prime Minister Meir reiterated Israel's desire to move towards settlement with Egypt, but stressed that from Israel's standpoint, the Rogers Plan of December 1969 could not serve as the basis for this. Therefore, it could not stand as the basis for a discussion between Israel and the United States. We cannot and will not return to the 67 borders. We're going now to 73. And this is a summary following meeting between the Ambassador Rabin and Prime Minister and President Nixon. Okay? February 5, 73, the map room. If Rabin summarized the following points: the President would like to see a movement in the right direction in the Middle East. B, he had no ideas how to move it. The President would be more than glad to hear from the Prime Minister if she had any ideas. D, the President would understand if she did not have any. So what it tells actually that even in 1973, the President of the United States say, you can go on with the status quo. We will not tell you that we support you. We'll proclaim that we do support a move in the peace settlement, in the peace process, but actually you can go ahead with the present situation. This is a quotation from Henry Kissinger. In 1971, Secretary Rogers tried for interim agreement along the Suez Canal. I did not oppose it. It's not true. He opposed it. But neither did I support it. I'm speaking very frankly now. The FO broke down over whether or not 1,000 Egyptian soldiers would be permitted across the canal. That agreement would have prevented the 73 war. You listened or did? Okay, I must say now that I'm sorry I did not support the Rogers effort more than I did. What I'm saying is that we really have to know that we don't know everything. That there is no real one truth. There is no one reality. That people might have different views and just be modest and humble and put question marks. Now I go to the foreign policy implication. Before the Yom Kippur War, the United States could undertake almost any kind of policy with regard to the Middle East, knowing that eventually the sides themselves are going to pay the price if it fails. The Yom Kippur War has brought the Americans to the conclusion that in fact they might also pay the price. They are going to pay the price. Because of the oil embargo, Americans have to pay much more money in order to fill the tanks. So this is something that is concrete. And what this has brought about, I think, is a much more determined and much more decisive and much more intensive involvement of all the administration after the Yom Kippur War in the peace process. Before the war, Israel accepted the American diktat, actually, not to launch a preemptive strike on Egypt before the war. At the end of the war, the American demand from us to let the supply go to the Third Army. Many Israelis thought it would be a wrong thing to do, led the American administration later on to the conclusion that Israel is apt to and vulnerable to an American pressure. President Obama, to his credit, I must say, has made a clear-cut distinction between the peace process and the bilateral relation between Israel and the United States. On the peace process, there were sharp disagreements but the bilateral relation between Israel and the United States in the security in the realm and in the economic aspects have developed and are now unprecedented. That since the Yom Kippur War, Israel leaders are scared to undertake bold and far-reaching decisions in our relation with the other states. Since the Yom Kippur War, but probably it began even before, our memory of the war is not necessarily connected with the military outcome. You know, our generals say that this was the greatest victory Israel has gained. But in the collective memory of the Israelis, the war is thought to be between failure and defeat. And I'm saying that we talked here about the Six-Day War as a big success of Israel. In my view, this was a military success, but strategically, the outcome of the Six-Day War was very limited. In my view, our ability to learn from history is very, very limited. Because even if you say, try to learn from history, eventually everybody looks at the situation as it now and acts as he thinks what fits for him and for his national interests. Thank you.